What's up, Comic Book Nation? Welcome to tonight's quarantine watch party event. Because you guys are awesome, we're able to do something really awesome tonight. I'm BD. I'm so proud to present to you my buddy Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, is here. Rob, thank you for joining our quarantine watch party, man.
I am so excited to be with you, Brandon. Thanks for having me, man. This is going to be fun.
Of course. Okay, so if you're new to this, guys, everybody at home, what we're doing is everybody's pressing play on the first Deadpool movie together. We press play on our own copy. It will not be streamed here, but we will be offering our commentary. Rob will be offering his insight on the character and all things like that. And you can tweet along using hashtag Quarantine Watch Party. You can do that on Twitter or Instagram, whatever you want to do. We're going to have fun with it. So we're going to, in just a few minutes, 9 p.m. Eastern time is when we're pressing play. We're going to give everybody a chance to get set up, get situated. We're encouraging everybody to stay home and stay safe and still feel united during this quarantine period. It's been like nothing we've ever experienced before, but we're having some fun with it. So first, I'm going to talk with Rob a little bit, and we're going to watch this movie, Blu-ray, streaming, however you have it. But given the success of Deadpool, Rob, I want to talk to you about. First of all, how are you going to watch it? Do you have a Blu-ray? Do you have it downloaded? How do you watch this movie?
You know, I have. I'm watching it on my computer screen so that we can be Skyping this. So I have every possible format of this movie ever in existence. But the computer is taking a DVD. But I mean, come on, half of this, large portions of this, I was there to see it being filmed. So it's always exciting to walk back through it. I mean, the great thing about this movie, honestly, is it 80 minutes? It's pretty quick. It's not even an hour and a half, right? I mean, this is going to be great to walk down memory lane with you. I have so many stories, and so much of this elicits so many memories of the journey that this movie took to get to this place.
Oh yeah, I can only. I'm kind of blown away. I'm watching this movie with you. It's kind of a reality check moment for me. I'm not going to lie. Let me talk to you. I mean, you've put together so many cool comics. You created characters like Deadpool, Cable. Yeah. Major X was a huge success recently. So
thank you.
How has the success of the movie kind of influenced you as a comic creator?
Man, I wish I could say it has. Honestly, I fill my sketchbooks and my pages with stuff that comes out of my head, and my head just doesn't apply to any format. It's just images, and the images roll onto the page, and then you can imagine them as anime or live action. But I mean, there's so much that can go wrong between a page and a film. I mean, there have been tremendous successes, right? But we've seen so many that have not stuck the landing, especially in recent years. So I just stick to the page, just like I did back then. You know, Cable and Deadpool, all these characters, they were necessary at the time because the book I was on was flailing, and they were summoned by a young Rob Liefeld to save the comic and give him a career. And people say, why'd you introduce Cable and Deadpool? I'm like, to keep the book selling so I could pay the rent. I mean, so these characters took on this life, and then obviously the journey to this film was amazing. And I mean, the journey to this film was like 8 rounds, man. And right as the body was down for the count, boom, it got up and won the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it broke some records, so congratulations on that. Well deserved. The movie's great. Everybody involved really knocked it out of the park.
They
And if you're
did.
just joining us on the Quarantine Watch Party, we're gonna press play at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're watching Deadpool together. You have to watch it on your own copy. We're not gonna stream it here. That would be illegal. So none of that. But we are gonna press play 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Couple more questions. Give everybody a second to get situated. Uh, with everybody staying at home, Rob, it's a scary time, not just for
It
movie
is.
theaters like the movie we're about to watch, but for comic book shops. Like we're doing this,
Oh
we're
yeah.
both at home because we can't leave the house, which is the smart play. We're being safe, we're trying to get ahead of
Yes.
everything, but it's scary for comic shops and everything. I mean, what do you think of all that could happen with comic book stores and everything?
I'm obviously very concerned. My local retailers, I frequent about 4 to 5 stores. I love all these guys. They've been in my life for decades. I worked at a couple of these stores. So obviously, I'm very concerned. I'm hoping that the industry can rally around itself. That's going to involve publishing, distribution, retail, fans, and but I'm bullish that we're going to get back to business as usual. It's just we've hit this terrible bump in the road, and I got 3 teenagers at home. I've got to be, a dad every single day. So, and kind of help guide them along the way. But I assure them, as I will everybody who's going to watch this with us tonight, hey man, we're all doing this pandemic together for the first time. I'm 52 years old. I've never encountered anything like this. So we're all holding hands, walking through this together. And I think this is what you guys are doing with this is great. It's a great
Well,
diversion, and I'm happy that we can do this together and hopefully, provide some entertainment, some distraction.
well, I'm happy you're joining us, man, because we're encouraging people to stay in and be smart and be safe. So,
Yes,
thank you
yes,
for the kind words, though, and I can't wait till we get back to normal. We can go back out to the movies and the comic shops like we did before. And just a reminder, guys,
yes.
just a few minutes, we're pressing play on Deadpool all at the same time for the quarantine watch party. Rob, I can't have you on here. I'm such a big movie fan, comic fan, and not ask you a few fantasy questions about
Yeah,
Deadpool. Where am I go? You up for some of that?
do it. Let's go.
Listen, we all know Deadpool and the X-Men now are owned by Disney. We don't know what the
Right.
future holds, but in the fantasy world, we all have our dream team, our dream
Sure.
crossover. You Avengers characters that we've seen in the MCU. Who is like the
Yeah.
character you think would you really want to see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool interact with?
So when you ask me that question, I have a logical. I immediately go to who's left, right? Because I know a lot of fans want to go backwards all the time, and I like until an option is viable, I can't really, entertain that. What's viable right now is we have Thor is still around, Hemsworth, right? And we have Ruffalo as the Hulk. We've got obviously we've still got Ant-Man, right? So and then you know the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. I mean, Star Lord and Deadpool would be extremely funny together. And because Deadpool has had an entire series in space called Deadpool Corps, this is not something that would be foreign to him. But my personal preference would be to see him and Ruffalo. It would be great if he frustrated Smart Hulk so much that he turned into Angry Hulk again, and just lost his shit. Because obviously, Deadpool's going to get under everybody's skin. When I refer to the like Downey Jr. and Deadpool were meant for each other, so I'm now entertaining what I said that I don't. But that's the one everybody thinks of. But it's not possible at this time. We have to take Robert Downey Jr.'s word, right? So what's available to Ryan, the best of what's available to Deadpool is, I think, the Hulk, Thor are probably the best candidates. Obviously, I know it's not in this film, but I don't imagine that we'll be leaving Domino or Cable on the curb when Deadpool returns. I believe they'll find their way into the mix as well. So, I mean, any combination of those characters, but Deadpool has had some great interactions with Hulk in the comics, and I think it's always richer when something is taken from the page,
Oh,
and maybe sort of, you know uh, repurposed on screen. So again, I think fans would go crazy if they saw Ruffalo, Hulk, and Deadpool. I've been that's been my kind of go-to answer for the last year. So I'm sticking with it.
the comic. there kind of writes itself. But I'm all on the Tom Holland Spider-Man Ryan Reynolds Deadpool train. I want to see that
Okay,
interaction. That'd be fun
see
too.
there you okay. So that's great. See, but I immediately go to he's a Sony property, and I'm not. I know that you don't, and I know that I don't fully understand how that interaction is. If you told me that Deadpool was going to run through the next 10 minutes of the Spider-Man movie, I mean, let's say the world gets back up and running, we're back on track, people are going to cinemas, they're excited. That Spider-Man, so Spider-Man Deadpool is the biggest pairing. I just don't understand the Sony Disney relationship. As I understand it, it's like a movie at a time, right? So, but yeah, no. Look, again, Holland, all of that is confusing to me. So I just go, what does Disney have? So Sony's a
Right.
different animal. That would be the most optimal. Yes, that would be the most optimal.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. Whatever goes on behind the scenes at Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige figures it out one way or another. We'll see. Time will tell. The idea of Josh Brolin staying as Cable, having played Thanos, that the humor there writes itself as well.
It's rich. It's rich. And let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you, your viewers, Josh wants to be Cable again sooner than later. He is itching to be Cable again. He loved being Cable. He has told me he understands how beloved his role as Thanos is, but he doesn't look completely like Josh Brolin as Thanos, by his own words. These are his own words telling me, Rob Liefeld. He said, but Rob, when I appeared as Cable in Deadpool 2, my phones rang off. He said it changed everything for him. I mean, obviously, Josh is going to get some sort of career lifetime achievement award at some point. The guy is just one of our greatest actors. He likes to sit on the down low, but when you look back, you go, he's been in all these movies. People don't even remember that he played President Bush in W, right? I mean, directed by Oliver Stone. I mean, if you sit down with Josh and he tells you about all these great directors that he's worked with, you go, yeah, and that person, yeah, and that person. So I'm just telling you, it would be rich for him to be in the Marvel Universe with, Deadpool would completely implore the Thanos stuff all the time. It'd be great. It'd be great.
Oh, and it would be crazy to drop him. All right, guys. In 30 seconds, we're starting Deadpool together. We've got Rob Liefeld, creator of Deadpool, on our quarantine watch party. You've got about 20 seconds until we start. I've got the timer going right here. You've got the timer on the screen. So, Rob, are you ready to watch Deadpool, man?
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
All right, everybody. We've got 11 seconds. 10, and we're all pressing play on our own copy of Deadpool. Welcome to the quarantine watch party. Thank you for Rob Liefeld for participating. 3, 2, 1, play. All right.
I'm going.
Our quarantine
Can I stop you immediately and just tell you how great this 20th Century Fox logo is? And I miss it already. So can we just do that? It's awesome.
We're not going to see it anymore. It's just 20th century. I don't even know what's going on.
I know. It's this logo, Planet of the Apes, Star Wars, so much, Home Alone, Deadpool, X-Men,
Avatar.
Yes. Okay. Do we hear the dulcet sounds of Juice Newton coming? Because we do. We do. We're hearing Juice Newton. Let me tell you something. This is on page 1 of the screenplay in 2010. This entire scene is so wonderfully written in the screenplay, and to see how Tim pulled it off. Hey, Rob L, I know that guy. Yes, not Rob Lowe, everybody. That's Liefeld. This is an amazing assortment of images, and I'm telling you, oh, there he is, Mr. Sexy, Mr. Ryan. Yeah, this is these credits are just amazing. They're amazing.
I mean, I've never seen a movie do credits like this because obviously we love Deadpool for the fourth wall breaking element. Like we see the People magazine, we see the Green Lantern reference, and Ryan's not afraid to have fun, making fun of himself a little bit. But the logos on the names, like it was so clear when this movie came out. I can't believe it was 4 years ago. In this sequence, it was like, I'm going to love this movie already. They've already got the tone perfectly, and nobody's even
Yes.
talked yet.
You know, I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a little insider juice. I was at the last test screening for this movie. I'm with everybody except Ryan. Ryan was in New York, but I'm with the producers, Tim Miller, and I'm sitting next to Tim. And the audience at this test screening didn't quite laugh enough in the room. And so immediately afterwards, I kid you not, there was a 10-minute discussion if they were going to pull this. And one of the producers was like, I'm not sure we've earned it. We didn't get enough laughs. Now, to jump to the end, they then conducted a survey with the 25 people that stayed behind. And this movie got a 94%, which at the time was the highest they'd ever gotten. So they kept it. So that a little insider juice. We came this close to losing that. And I was there going, what are you doing? So here we are. We're in the cab with Mr. Poole.
Oh my god! I can't imagine if they had cut that. Like, what? I don't know what other alternate opening there could have been. Like, what is it? Just it starts here and the credits are on the bottom. No, that was genius to keep it.
To be honest, they believed, based on audience reaction, their scores were going to be lower than the second to the last one. So everything changed a half hour when the numbers were bigger than the last one. They went up 7% from the second to the last one to the last one. So again, that kept us, in there. But here we go. We established Deadpool and Dopinder, which obviously Dopinder is original to the Deadpool film franchise. And can we even imagine life without him anymore? I can't.
No, and the actor's career is he's gotten some big roles since this too, so it's been fun to follow.
Such a sweet guy too. Such a sweet guy. And I mean, he's not this character, but he is this character. It's great. He's such a sweetie. And this is the bottom line is here's Deadpool in full red leather right at the outset, and it works. It completely works. And again, they filmed this in 2015, and comic book costumes were still finding their way. I mean, they're still refining Batman's look on his. How many actors have been Batman now? I'm losing count. But right out of the gate, holy crap! How great does Deadpool look? They nailed it. Tim Miller, his shot, they nailed this. This is amazing.
When that leaked, the test footage leaked, and we saw Deadpool. Sitting in full costume in live action, and I think that was an animated version of it, but it was CGI to look live action, and it looked great. Like, this is a costume, which evidence proves this is a character. You can't change the look. You have to stay true, and people will endorse it. And then we get the first look at his face right there, and we are going full Deadpool. So, yes. You can't change this character. Some characters have to stay accurate to the comics, and it works. And this is one of them.
Yes, and we know how life, when they weren't accurate, felt like. I lived through that. You haven't lived till you've gone to shows and go, Liefeld, what do you think about how they portrayed him in Wolverine Origins? And you're like, please stop. You're hurting me. No, and Ed Skrein, so great. Commands. This shot right here, it's so brief. He's selling them these bodies. We establish he's a heavy. Right here, his attitude, his tone. Ed is such a sweetheart, but he's such a badass in this movie. And right here from the outset, look, we see how formidable our villain and his cronies are. I'm now, I got to be honest. My wife had a bit of a crush on Ed, so I was wondering after the premiere that night. I'm like, are you going home with me, or are we going with Ed? Because I'm not sure here. Are you gonna stay with me? Okay, good. You're gonna stay with me. Thank you. My ego survived that night. Ed's such a sweetie, though. But yeah, he's great. Francis is terrific in this film. And as we get further, we'll talk about how Garrison Kane was a huge part of this film until the last minute. There was two of them, and they wisely, it hurts to lose a character, but it was wise just to go with Francis.
Oh yeah, Ed was so menacing, and I remember when I first saw this movie for the first time, I was trying to pinpoint what I had seen him in, and it was that he did Game of Thrones briefly.
That's right.
And then he came here and knocked it out of the park.
And so we've just seen Deadpool load his 12 bullets, which again, huge part of the screenplay. And the setup here is amazing.
This is the proper version of the leak, right here.
That's correct. That's correct. And you did again. A lot of what you said was in the leak that there was a lot of CGI imaging. But I'm going to tell you, I was there the day they filmed the leak footage. And the stuff that you see in the Escalade is all guys sitting on folded chairs. They're all on folded chairs at Blur Studios in their, green screen room. And it was all guys, from the crew. I mean, from Blur, just acting this out. Ryan was playing Deadpool, but they mapped, like you said, at that point in the leaked footage, they mapped the costume on him. But I mean,
so when they made this sequence the first time, it was literally people in folding chairs surrounded by green screen. Everything was digitally added.
All these guys are sitting in the leaked footage are in just folded chairs. It was so fun to see it all come together. I mean, I was very fortunate that Tim had invited me so early on in the process. But I mean, this is one of the centerpieces of the entire film. This sequence right here.
It's the defining moment right here. It's the defining moment to introduce you to the character.
I'm telling you, this is when you go, look, man, we've all lived through where we don't think our comic book character is portrayed as well in the movies as he is in the comics. But from the minute this screenplay was in my hands and this is filmed exactly as it's written, and then you see it performed, Deadpool had never been this cool in comics ever. He's cooler here than he ever was in the comics. And look, if I'm saying that, consider what I'm saying. Next level. I mean, this is next level. The choreography, this entire fight in the Escalade, and this entire freeway sequence. I mean, Ryan, Rhett, Paul, Tim, they all contributed to this. It's that right there. Look at that. Oh, I feel that. That hurts so bad. Swallowing that lighter. Brandon, don't do that. Don't swallow lighters.
Oh. And then we come full circle with the credits right here. And there's still, what I love the most is you establish that, yes, we're going to have violence, we're going to have hardcore action, but what you're going to love about this movie is the comedy right here. Did I leave the stove on? Because Deadpool is defined by never shutting up. He never shuts his mouth. And in this movie,
and then right here, you get a hard arm. Beheaded. I mean, that's so. You've been in this movie 5 minutes, and we have now established this is like no other X-Men movie you've seen. Certainly no other Marvel movie. People love to tell me about Blade all the time. Let's sidetrack that. That was a vampire movie, and it was marketed as such. I was there. It was the 90s. So here we go. I'm going to tell you right now, Colossus, also right early on in the script, introduced this early. And I remember telling Tim when he showed me this, because Brandon, as you know, the X-Men world had not been given a heavy dose of Colossus. And I loved how they paired them up in this screenplay and made them kind of a comedic pair. Obviously, Negasonic was added later on. But I told Tim, people are going to flip out over this version of Colossus. He's a beloved character who didn't get a showcase until now.
Yeah, and Stefan's voice for it is perfect.
Oh, he's so good. Stefan and I have done a bunch of stuff for lack of a better term, cancer kids, sick kids, and Stefan always takes their phones and does voice messages for them as Colossus, and I'm like, it's amazing what he does. It's amazing how effective his voice is, and how people respond to it. He gives a great performance in this. We're about to go to the brown pants, right? Again, the brown pants.
Right idea.
A seminal, iconic one. Oh my gosh. So they shut, this is called the aqueduct part of the freeway. I was here. I was in Vancouver right here. They shut this down and the city celebrated it. There were signs everywhere. The aqueduct will be shut down for 2 weeks, 14 days. You will be taking separate, paths. And I'm telling you, the fans in the city, the people of Vancouver were thrilled to have their freeway shut down. And for this sequence to take place.
So they took 2 weeks to film this action sequence?
Full 2 weeks, 100%.
Wow.
And it's such a packed, I mean, look at that. I mean, they shut down, they rerouted traffic in Vancouver for 2 weeks for this movie. It's amazing. And it's, again, now we're 10 minutes into the movie. and we're getting this amazing action sequence that is just terrific choreography. All the stunt guys on this. Oh, the bullets. I mean, we all got to share the bullets, right, Brandon?
Oh, I know, I'm like the action is great. What I just can't get over is how well written it is. Like how well Deadpool's dialogue is written, because like we love the action, but when he says the things like when he comes up and shoots this guy extra times, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, stupid, worth it,"
Oh,
like that Deadpool talking to himself, like, and they fought like it's just they got the character right, and like and it's so much fun to watch, because sure you can reference Blade, but this really was, when it came out, there wasn't anything like it. There was no experience like this yet.
oh. Iconic shot after iconic shot. And let me tell you something. We have to really underscore this is Tim Miller's debut film. This is his first time directing, and these shots are unbelievable. The shots and again the editing, because he Tim really worked on this in the editing room and selected how this movie cut together. And but again, just Ryan's performance, his little yipes and the little ooh, you've both, I'm sure you've taken some girlfriends to this. My wife, they love how Ryan portrays Deadpool. I mean, his it makes all the violence go down so much easier. Here it is, iconic.
And there's a triple headshot.
One bullet, three heads. That was the closing scene of the footage in San Diego that year. This right here. So right there, sniffing the guns, iconic. That's an iconic movie image, not just a comic book movie. I mean, that is an iconic movie image. So we both saw how Ryan shared this weekend, how we're not there yet. This is one of my favorite lines. I love that we see that this guy's a mutant. So now we see, okay, he's fighting mutants. This guy thinks he can take Deadpool.
Bad call.
And boom!
He becomes a shish kebab.
Okay, so what you just saw with the twirling,
this was a superhero movie.
Yes, but what he did with the twirling blades, that's reversed. He actually is putting them back, and then they play it forward. That's how you get that perfect spin. I know too much about this movie. I'm sorry.
I love facts like that, because I'm a film geek, but when we do interviews, typically we have like 10 minutes at a junket or at Comic-Con, and I don't get to dive into those questions with you. So I'm really happy that we get to learn these facts right now. I think it's really cool.
Okay, and come on, how great is this bedazzled guy? I mean, this guy gives such a great performance. He's hilarious.
They're jeans, not a chandelier.
That's it. And oh, here he comes. So when I was on the set during this sequence, they were very careful. Ryan did not want anyone to see the B. Arthur on his shirt. He wanted the Golden Girls, all those references obscured. Like I took some photos with him, and he's like, just make sure that the Golden Girls cannot be seen. Again, they did a lot of great. They were very careful in how they presented this and the stuff that they hid that people would go crazy over. And obviously, the Golden Girls is just one of them. Fans should know this sequence is somewhat adapted. I don't know the actual number, but Daniel Way did this scene in the comic books. I'll have to get the actual number. The funny thing is, Rhett and Paul, before the movie came out, called me up and said, Rob, what issue was that in that we took this from again? And I'm like, guys, it's Daniel Way. And now I don't, but like, because again, Brandon, they wrote this movie in 2010 and it didn't reach you till 2016. So again, this scene there from the outset. But I love how we see early Wade in this scene. He's so great. This is such a great showcase for Ryan. He absolutely shines.
Drops the pizza. And everybody knows Dorothy is the best Golden Girl. Everybody, if you're joining us, we're a little bit like 16 minutes in to Deadpool with creator Rob Liefeld on a quarantine watch party. If you want to join us, we started at 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to do this live, so just catch up, fast forward that many minutes, start at 9:20 p.m. Eastern time, press play right at 20 minutes in, or when we get to that point. It's where you can join on Instagram and Twitter using hashtag Quarantine Watch Party. And a big thanks to Rob for joining us. We're only 20 minutes in, or 16 minutes in. I've learned a lot about this movie already, and I think it's really cool.
No, this is when we come out of this sequence, that skate park, and Sister Margaret's, where we're about to go into. These are all locations in Vancouver. That look, the budget on Deadpool was very small. People need to remember this. So all of the locations, yeah, that was funny. Faggy, that's a cool little another Easter egg. Golden Girls, Feige. So this skate park is not far from the aqueduct and from the actual Sister Mary's or Sister Margaret's. But Sister Margaret's, I shot in there for 2 days because people always ask me why I don't do cameos. Well, here's the quick answer. I did one. No one saw me in it. So I figured, look, I don't need to keep doing cameos. I'm not Stan Lee. It was just fun to be on set and be in Sister Margaret's. This is an actual bar that they in the seediest part of town. Obviously, that placard, Sister Margaret's, is put there, but this is an actual bar that they used for about 3 weeks. So we're going to come upon right here. He says, Buck Liefeld. No, that's not my wardrobe. I went to a wardrobe fitting. I got a sweet flannel shirt, and I watched this scene play out about 15 times because these guys would ad-lib something a little different every time. I'm literally sitting right to the right of Ryan this entire time. And funny thing is, originally Buck was stabbing me in the hand. I agreed to it. I thought it'd be a funny joke that get a knife through my hand, my drawing hand. But they only had one prop knife, and Buck was sweating so much that the heat made the prop knife was not solid, so it was bending every time they stabbed my hand. And they had to go, do we have another knife? And there was no other knife. And so we went to him reading my hand instead of stabbing my hand because the rubber knife, between the humidity and the sweat coming off of Buck, made it pliable, so it wasn't even solid anymore. Hilarious. I'm sure there's some outtakes of that, but this is fantastic. Also, I can tell you is they only had X amount of collapsible chairs and tables. So they were only able to do this 3 times because they literally said, guys, how many more collapsible tables and chairs do we have? And they're like, we're down to our last ones. You got to get it this time or we're done. So again, this was so fun to be a part of. By this time, I had moved to the back of the room. But here's the other thing. Half of the people in this, some of them are stuntmen, but half of these people are people from the bar who had agreed to be in the real bar, who agreed to be in this. And I mean, you want to talk atmosphere. Like Tim said, they found some crazy people who are atmosphere in this movie. So there we got the list. People on the Deadpool. Sorry that I kind of took over, Brandon. I'm going to take a breath.
Was that Kay West I saw on the board there? There's so many names that are Easter eggs on that Deadpool board.
Oh yeah. There's Mike Tyson's on that board. So many. And obviously, we're about to get introduced to the amazing Morena Baccarin. To me, this is the movie right here. Their chemistry is why people love this movie. This love story, and having created Vanessa and watching Vanessa interact with Wade, again, better than anything ever portrayed in the movie. Fat Gandalf, come on.
Oh yeah, nothing. We love a Lord of the Rings reference here, but I think it's so funny the conversation that's coming up. You had a dishwasher. They talk about living in a dishwasher box, and they kind of compete for who had the worst childhood. I think it's really clever.
No, the script. This is one of the strongest screenplays. I honestly, without the screenplay, I'm not sure that this movie has a fighting chance. Conceptually, the guy who ran Fox wasn't convinced about Deadpool, but people universally people forget before the footage got leaked, the script got leaked about 2 years prior, and that gave it some momentum to keep hunting for a director. I'll tell you something while people are watching this. Robert Rodriguez, Ryan met with him. Robert Rodriguez was potentially going to direct this. He opted out. Ruben, whoever directed Zombieland, because he's friends with Rhett and Paul. He considered it, but didn't pull the trigger on it. Tim,
The director
had done a lot of
City,
special effects
director of
work.
Venom. What was
Tim had
that?
done a lot of. I'm sorry. Say what?
So Ruben went on to direct Venom.
Yes.
Robert Rodriguez, he had done Sin City. He went on to do Alita, and they elected not to do Deadpool.
They were absolutely. You can actually Google the LA Times article. At one point, it mentioned Robert being engaged, and I know because Rhett and Paul would tell me Robert still hasn't said yes. But anyway, look. The bottom line is the right guy got the job. Tim and his Blur Studios had done a ton of work for Fox, and when they came to Tim, obviously he stepped up to the plate. And who hasn't wanted to play skeet ball with Morena Baccarin? Hello? Oh my gosh, she is so ridiculously gorgeous. I don't think she minds us saying that. Those are cheekbones from the gods. She's so great. She's such a sweetheart too. Um, just a lovely woman. The chemistry between she and Ryan is, like I said, is everything. Again, I'm telling you, Brandon, one of the things about this movie is how grounded it is. How many comic book movies have taken you to an arcade, right, where you pick out, prizes with your
Right.
skeet ball
I
winnings?
mean, it's like the Marvel movies just keep getting bigger and bigger as that universe expands, and it's hard to see the characters on a ground level like we're seeing right now with Wade. And I mean, Deadpool 2 keeps it on a ground level too. It keeps the relationship at the forefront
Yes.
as the motivating factor. So it's fun. Like, I mean, that's why I like the Spider-Man movies and stuff too, because with Tom Holland's Peter, we're staying in the high school level, and we're not getting that
Yes.
as often as we used to. Like the Hulk used to be origin story, ground level science stuff. Now it's becoming much bigger. And here we go with the big sex montage.
Let me tell you something. This Calendar Girl, perfect song, perfect montage, taking you through their relationship with all their different role playing, again in the script. But these two, and I know everybody was a little nervous about filming all this stuff. I mean, these are nice people that are having to dominate each other sexually, comically, and everyone was having a great time. But look at that. I feel for Ryan right here. And then we go out of it and we're sweet and they're reading. Oh, back to so great. This sequence. Oh my gosh, the vampire teeth. Come on, you winced when you saw that. You winced. You completely winced.
I just have a lot of questions about how that works. I don't know.
Hey, buddy, you know what? They committed, and when you have two people as beautiful as these two, I mean, these are like two Greek gods having nasty booty time. Okay, let's just call it booty time, and then
this
boom.
Thanksgiving and this one is Christmas.
And look at who doesn't want Ryan Reynolds in a Christmas sweater and Morena Baccarin in her ugly Christmas sweater.
The two of them have such great
chemistry. Bloodshot in your eyes? Hey, we don't talk about Bloodshot, okay? Come on now, Morena. What are you doing?
Ryan got shredded for this movie. Shredded.
Pretty sure Ryan was born shredded, but yes, he got even more jacked, even more. I think the guy has a 9-pack. I mean, a 12-pack, whatever. It's not a 6-pack. It goes on and on and on. No, look, let's be honest. Between you and me, I think the movie has tremendous crossover appeal with a huge female audience for all the obvious reasons. Ryan. But here, you have to remember. Look at that bare ass. Look at how chiseled that bare ass is. Now, here's the deal. This was released on Valentine's Day weekend. Valentine's Day weekend, you get this great romance inside this really gritty, R-rated, violent superhero movie. But
Eat your heart, 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I mean, again, man, Ryan just looks amazing. He just the both of them. Morena is drop dead beautiful. Ryan is drop dead beautiful. I mean, again, this is not a large cast. It's a very tiny cast, and everything hangs on your leads and their charisma and chemistry. And I have told this to Morena. I have told this to Ryan. I mean, their connection is the franchise, which is why she was so necessary to the sequel. And trust me, I know we're not doing the sequel right now, but her fate in the sequel made all of Fox was very nervous about, because how important she was, some of the decisions they made. Now, right here, obviously the movie takes a completely different turn as Ryan is about to collapse.
Freaking jacked.
Oh,
That was my plan for my summer body, but now I'm about to have my quarantine body, and it's going to look nothing like that.
no way, dude. You're doing the push-ups challenge right after this. Listen, here's the deal. There's a longer version of this that they cut from the movie where he actually goes to Mexico to seek his treatment because he's so desperate, because he's found the love of his life and he wants to live. And again, that's where we lay our groundwork for this incredible revenge movie. He is desperate to live. She is the love of his life, and you see it right there in his face. I just, I'm with Tim. Ryan, I know he was nominated for Golden Globes and Screen Actors Guild Award for this performance, and he should have been. And I think he just missed an Academy Award nomination that year. It was a very competitive year, but he gives a tremendous performance here. It is so grounded, and obviously, so when I first created Deadpool, I asked them, so you have Weapon X. Weapon X means 10. So that means there must have been 9 others before Wolverine. And I said, I want Deadpool. That's another reverse spin. He actually took those out and then they backed you up. And that's how you got him putting them in. Because try that, Brandon. That's not easy to pull off. Anyway.
No,
I'm not. Cancer, body riddled with cancer, seeking the Weapon X treatment, and here the workshop to heal himself is seminal to the story. Now, this is another amazing sequence, and something I didn't know that only got released this weekend upon Kenny Rogers passing. Rest in peace, Kenny Rogers. Ryan released that he actually had filmed a sequence of this singing The Gambler. Did you see that? That's awesome. He put it on his Instagram, and it has him singing the chorus to Kenny Rogers' big hit The Gambler as he beats up Francis. So obviously they didn't go with it, but Ryan showed us his, the sequence as he recorded it. Oh, brutal. The action and the physical violence in this, don't think for a minute that didn't drive the teenage audience crazy. They love this. Oh, yeah. That is not a level of violence they expect.
I'm a really big advocate for show it, don't just say it. So when you have this moment where you learn that Francis can't feel pain because of the sword, and you show it instead of just saying it, I love that moment as well.
Oh, it's terrific. It is a terrific, and you can see, following up on what you're saying, he is not intimidated by Deadpool one iota. Deadpool is seething with rage, and Francis could not give a shit, even though he's impaled and pinned to concrete via a katana. I'm gonna tell you, huge moment. And in the screenplay, when I read the screenplay blind and I saw Colossus enter at this juncture, I roared. I could not believe, because again, oh my gosh, there it is. I have that action.
We talked about it earlier. Do not do Deadpool wrong in movies. Stay comic accurate. Everybody wins. You have to honor these characters as they appeared in comics. Like, maybe some characters can afford, like, you take liberties to change a few things, but like Deadpool is one. He's defined by his mouth. He doesn't shut up. He's a mercenary, and his costume is a huge part of it. Like, we learned. Here we are. We are.
Yes, it was an unfortunate incident, but like a phoenix rising from the ashes, we overcame it, and here we are, as you said, with a far superior portrayal that gives Deadpool fans what they always wanted, which is the Deadpool they deserve.
And I would say overcame it is an understatement. This is this is such a huge success, and rightfully so.
And we have the honestly the showcase that Ryan deserves. I mean, this guy, he really, you don't know how long he fought, to be Wade Wilson, to be Deadpool in this manner. And I mean, it was bleak at times, but man, did he make it through to the other side. And I mean, I'm going to tell you, on set with Ryan, this guy was laser focused. He would behind the scenes, in between takes, read over the script notes, talk with Tim and the producers. Then he'd walk, very serious, talking about the quality of the film and what they're getting, and then walk back in and either be serious or be crazy and loopy. Um, just an amazing. He wore many hats on this film. Obviously, as a producer, star, contributing to the writing, a tremendous physical, uh, performance by him as well.
Yeah, and to going back, I mean, with the script, a really nice touch there. We have the Wham reference, which comes full circle later, which just another cool
Yes.
note that the script had everything.
I mean, that is yeah. Again, all that music, all those cues. I remember the guys were a little freaked out. I think they've mentioned this. I know they've mentioned this when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, which obviously is a brilliant piece of art. I mean, James Gunn, such an amazing job with Guardians, but all the music in that movie, I remember the guys being a little frustrated because they felt like they had that years before. But you know what? This proved that they both coexist perfectly. Guardians is a completely different soundtrack than Deadpool, but they both have a ton of music in them, very memorable from Juice Newton to George Michael, just like you know Pina Colada and all the other music in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I mean, but I remember the guys they were anxious. They were like, we want to get our version of this because and I'll be honest, I can tell you right now, Guardians' success in the summer of 2014 set this movie towards the green light that it eventually got 100%.
Sure, but both movies have such a different, definitive attitude.
Yes.
I mean, they both have like a sarcastic kind of anti-hero to them, but they're very different movies, and I can see where that can. But at least they didn't end up in the Gemini Man, Bad Boys
Yes.
for Life kind of
Right.
similarities. You know
So
what I mean?
I'm just telling you, as an artist, when somebody maybe beats you to the punch of something that you've gotten that you think is fresh, and then maybe you didn't get there first, but now you know you have anxiety. Like, well, people appreciate when I show up, and look, as you said, they did. They appreciate them both. They're both. They both have a little bit of nihilism in them. They have a little nihilistic bend. Deadpool more so. Guardians dances with it. But again, the music in both are fantastic. Obviously, huge soundtracks on both, but the music is so important, and we can't not mention. I'm so I wish I had this actor's name. He's so great in Galaxy Quest, and
Ed
here
Reese.
he's so menacing. Again, we talked about how the movie takes a dark turn right here. Now we're in a darker phase of the origin of Deadpool, where he is clinging to. He'll try anything to get a cure to extend his life with Vanessa. That's what this is all about. And now he's making this deal with the devil.
Agent Smith. Yeah, yeah. Jed Reese is playing Agent Smith over there, and yeah, Galaxy Quest. You might have seen him in like The Ringer, American Made. He's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's terrific. He's terrific. Tim was insistent that he was the guy that could bring that role, and it's a small but very memorable role. And again, like
Yeah,
I said, there is so much feeling right here with you know, look, I've said it before. Deadpool has never been better than this movie. I've read every Deadpool comic. I've made some great Deadpool comics. That it is there is something electrifying about seeing somebody take the work and give it more humanity, more emotion, and it scenes like this that elevated uh, the entire franchise and the reason why we love this portrayal so much. I mean, again, people always go, "Who's the funniest Deadpool writer?" And I mean, that's not even a question, is it? It's Ryan. It's Ryan. He's the best Deadpool writer. The best jokes, the best portrayal. No one's ever done it better than him. No one will ever do it better than him. But right here again, we've got this great emotional.
can only imagine if Ryan was able to get his hands in that MCU sandbox with everything at his disposal,
That's it.
like what he could create with these other characters and these other actors that we've come to love in there was like who have defined characters on the screen like he has. If they let him do that at Marvel Studios, oh forget it. That's gonna be something else.
Brandon, you and I are on the same page. Let's just hope the powers that be recognize that Ryan, who is now 2 successful movies behind him. And let's not forget, especially in the days that we're living right now, just because you're a comic book film, just because you're a comic book film based on a popular property does not guarantee you box office success. The combined totals of these 2 movies is in the billions, 1.2, 1.3 billion dollars now between both of them. One a $60 million production, the other neither of these had budgets like Infinity War, Endgame. Ryan is used to a certain amount of control with this character now. He gets it. I hope that they give him the ability to, as you said, give him his own sandbox. Let him play in it. You will be thankful you did. Let him.
I don't
Let
think
him.
we're alone in that. I think everybody watching right now is probably in agreement that they hope that this version, which is Ryan's version,
Yes.
doesn't get kind of like limited or boxed in or any creative control taken away.
Right. So the exchanges between Brianna and Ryan as Negasonic, and look, they had to get like this low level Negasonic name. I mean, there was a list of, they had a list of names to pick from because they needed some secondary, not even secondary, third version mutants, and so they brought in Negasonic to be this young teenager who would act as our audience surrogate, see Deadpool as maybe some people in the audience would see Deadpool for the first time, experience him. And Brianna is brilliant. She is, again, a first featured role for her, and she plays off Ryan so well. I mean, this entire scene is just another centerpiece of the film. I mean, obviously, Brandon, between the two of us, we've probably seen this movie 100 times. Before it came out, I had seen it about 12 times because of the test screenings, the fan screenings, and then for those of you who have the Deadpool DVD, I have a commentary track on the actual Blu-ray with Tim Miller, and that took us 3 screenings to do that commentary track, and then that at the end of the 3rd screening, he and I had to go to IMAX headquarters where they were having a fan screening. So I saw it 4 times in one afternoon, evening, back to back to back. A drive to IMAX was the 20-minute break. Then we saw it with the fans at an IMAX, and then Tim and I and Simon Kinberg, the producer, did a Q&A. So we've seen Francis is Gone. This iconic shot here, we've got to dwell on this. The most Deadpool meme ever, right? Right? Okay, I'm gonna take a breath.
There's the sign in the back, and I'm guessing this isn't a part of the bridge there in Vancouver. It says Parker Boulevard, which happens to be just an Easter egg for Marvel fans, right?
That's Peter an Parker. Easter egg. That's all digitally put in. Absolutely. That's them. Blur Studios putting that in per the direction of Tim and Ryan. Yeah. So this storyboard was the first I'd ever seen. There was concept art that Tim had done of key sequences, and him with the T-Rex hands is so beautifully painted. I forget the artist's name at Blur Studios, but up there with any of the great stuff that you see that comes out of Marvel, and to watch the keyframe art match up with the live action for the first time. Oh, look at this! We've talked about how great a portrayal of Colossus this is, and it cannot be underscored how important he is.
How did they do like the hands? Are you familiar with that?
Well, that's all CGI. He had green tape on his fingers and glove because obviously all of that and that ankle are then Blur Studios. So here we go. Huge. I'm going to tell you, when I read this in the script, this moment as it plays out, told people they're not watching any sort of mutant or superhero movie the likes that they've seen before. I mean, I actually wondered at one point if this would even make it through, even with the R rating. But him severing his own hand, ripping it out, and jumping off, just amazing. And your favorite moment with the middle finger.
It goes down to what we were talking about earlier. I'm a huge fan of show it, don't say it.
Yes.
And this, if you're a fan of Deadpool, you know what he can do, which is a huge portion of the audience. But the moviegoers might, not everybody in the movie theater reads the comics. So they're showing you he can regenerate. He knows that. He's willing to hurt himself to do what it takes. And I think that by the whole team here is just another notch on the writing belt. Like, it's really well done.
And Ryan is in fact queuing up what's to come in regards to the full kind of extension of how he wants to show you the regeneration process plays out, which is so memorable in and of itself. More than just, and Hugh Jackman is great, but up until this point, we had just seen bullet holes kind of heal on
Yeah.
Wolverine. So here we are in the workshop.
The Green Lantern dig on the way in.
Yeah, just another seminal, iconic line. I love how Ryan owns it. But now we're in kind of what I call the Saw section of the movie. We're in kind of a little bit of a, this is taken, we keep saying how dark the movie goes, and now it goes even darker. And as the tone, this is about as dark as the movie gets. But here we have the beautiful Gina Carano, my friend Gina. I want to tell you about this. Gina and I were developing a movie based on one of my properties called Evangeline in 2012 and 2013. It was announced in the trades because you know how that's how it plays out. And Tim Miller calls me up. Tim and I had been working together for about 3 years on this. He had included me. He was making the movie. I just was a happy observant. But he called me and he said, Rob, I see you're doing a movie with Gina Carano. Hey, would she want to come by the studio and meet everybody? I'm a huge fan from her fighting days, from her film day, her early film catalog that she was making. So we went down to Blur Studios. I introduced Gina to Tim. We all watched the footage that hadn't leaked yet, but existed since 2011. And lo and behold, 2 years later, Tim, makes Angel Dust Gina Carano. So Brandon, I was happy matchmaker in a relationship, creative relationship with Gina. Tim calls up. We go, we meet Tim, we watch Deadpool. She's in the Deadpool movie. And as you know, she gets one of the most iconic battles. I mean, that Colossus throwdown that we're going to come up to is fantastic.
I mean, that became a moment too. The superhero landing is one of the most iconic things, and she's taken off since this too. I mean, she was perfect in this, and she earned herself a spot on The Mandalorian, which has been awesome too.
Yeah, no, people sleep on Gina, but she was in the Fast and the Furious, as you said, and then Deadpool. I mean, I said, Gina, everything you're in is ridiculously successful. She has attitude to spare here too. If anyone who knows Gina, she is the sweetest. I mean, she is like the sweetest, nicest, cuddly person, and playing this bitter, dark role here is hilarious. She's so good. But anyway, so we've got again the absolute villainy of Francis Ed Skrein just killing it here, and Ryan just refusing to be taken seriously. His one-liners here, all the cracks, and look at, I mean, it feels like Ed's going to lose it right here. Oh, I love it. I love all these cracks. Cracking on what's in your teeth. I mean, Ryan's crazy. He's just a nut. Again, like you said, we talked earlier, Bill Corso is the amazing makeup artist, designer who really put his fingers all over this film. He created Ryan's look as Deadpool, as kind of the Scarface that he comes out. But the reason Ryan looks like he's so tragically ill here is all of that. I mean, makeup design. Oh, brutal.
The shot in the face is so raw.
Yeah.
And then you got the blood added in. What Tim and the Blur Studios team do, their visual effects are, I mean, they're pretty damn amazing.
So Ryan really is submerged in liquids. He's really hanging and dangling. They talked about this at length. About again. I mean, Ryan is in. You can't fake that. He is sitting in a tub of ice.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever submerged yourself in a tub of ice?
Once. It's not a good feeling.
It is. I mean, it's long term good for the muscles, but in the moment, that is one of the most uncomfortable things you can ever experience. And Ryan is in there. I don't know how long he was in there. Long enough, I'm sure, for it to be uncomfortable.
Totally uncomfortable. I mean, the guy is. We're coming up pretty soon on a naked action scene in a comic book. I mean, there's the what is that movie with Viggo Mortensen where he's naked in the bathroom taking out the gangsters? But I mean, Ryan is naked in this action scene. I mean, coming up in this fight amidst a burning, smoldering building. I mean, the physical lengths that he sacrificed himself. I mean, obviously, we've talked what an amazing physique he has. But I mean, he put himself through a whole bunch of uncomfortable situations to completely sell the audience on this torture.
And this little scene right here with this guy, and then we tee up his family, and you like Deadpool doesn't want to be a hero, and that's great. It makes him different, but ultimately he shows that he does. He's not like a heartless guy. He's a character who you can stand behind because he's defending this guy who's got his family and everything. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, no, this is a great, again, just measure of his amazing character. I just laugh every time I see Gina looking as wicked as she does because she's such a sweet. And I know now she's playing. I've told Gina this. She's playing a brawler in Mandalorian. That's what people love about her. That she's a brawler. I mean that fight with Mandalorian, like when they first meet,
So
she's amazing. She comes from the mixed martial arts. She's a badass fighter. She's knocked people out in real life. So I mean, she's a physical specimen herself.
I listen. Maybe Ryan's watching this, but I think she could beat up Ryan.
You know what? I'm not sure Ryan would. I don't think he would. He would disagree with you. I think he knows how formidable. I mean, Gina has won. Gina has won awards and has a belt that says champion on it. I mean, she's pretty formidable.
Yeah,
Again,
she's really. She's just multi-talented. Obviously, she's a fighter. She's an actress. I mean, she's great. She's a great person.
the great thing about again the whole origin of Deadpool is that he submitted himself in the comics. It was the Weapon X program remastered here to be the workshop, but it was to beat cancer. People who know me know my dad eventually lost a 23-year battle with cancer. That's kind of when I was 9 years old, he went into the hospital, got a blood clot, was in a coma for 9 months. The doctors continued to implore my mom that he would never wake up. We were better off unplugging him. Brutal stuff in the 70s when they call your dad a vegetable. Not trying to take this to a morbid place, already coming out of it if you're listening, but the cancer stuff hits close to home. It was the source of the pain, and the suffering was the source of inspiration for what Deadpool would be born from, because what kind of people submit themselves? I mean, Wolverine, we had kind of known him as like this wild, unhinged animal. And that's why they were able to get him to succumb. But, what was everyone's backstory that would walk into a scenario like this? And again, the way this movie pulls it off, you really feel the lengths he is going now that he's kind of trapped here as well to submit himself to these heinous experiments to get to the other side, to have life so that he can have love with Vanessa is, look at that shot. I mean, these are, Tim's eye on this film is fantastic, from the lighting to the cropped images, the staging, just
this
amazing.
This sequence, I remember watching it in theaters for the first time. When they suck the air out of there and they give you like that, it creates for the audience such a claustrophobic, anxiety-inducing moment that I remember watching it and just feeling tight, like just feeling like my muscles tighten, because I was just like, oh, that sounds like the worst thing ever. And
Yes.
It's just how melting, like the movie pushes. The movie isn't afraid to push it.
Yeah. This movie earns its R rating. We've both seen movies that we wonder why they were rated R. Maybe one, violent act, or this movie is, I call this movie grimy. It's grimy. Gritty isn't good enough. Look at that. Look at that. Now he is becoming the Deadpool that we all know. Sometimes I call him the Freddy Krueger. But yeah, no, it earns its R rating the whole time. Oh, look at him!
But it doesn't use the R rating aimlessly. Like, it uses it all to enhance, like, in a necessary way for this character and the movie. Which is like, I remember you probably remember this after Deadpool came out. I remember James Gunn put up a post that was like, well, because Deadpool was successful, it wasn't because it was R rated that it was successful. It was because it was unique. And he made a great point. And then like they just went ahead and announced Logan was going to be R-rated right after that. And what made Deadpool unique was its use of the R rating, not just being R-rated.
That's right. I mean? Because, yeah, I do kind of believe, I love James Gunn, and I understand what he's trying to say there. But the truth of the matter is this movie exists on the level it does because it was R rating, gives you more adult, obviously, themes, mature themes that you can go deeper and explore and portray things in a more raw manner, which this movie never fails to do. I mean, and again, like you said, Logan benefited from the success of this movie because then Hugh got what he wanted, which was a more mature, the very best portrayal of Wolverine. So I got to tell you, Brandon, at the moment in time that these movies were coming out, they were very important. Oh, so great. Nice headbutt. Well done. Yeah, right there, you don't want to mess with Gina. She would snap you. That she is just
Look at that look. That
yeah,
look. I could kill you. I could
she's
snap
a
you like a twig.
she's a tremendous athlete and so humble and so and also obviously very beautiful. We love Gina. Gina is such my kids love Gina. We were so thrilled that she had this showcase. But here we go. It's these two guys. This is the story. You know, Frankenstein and Dr. Frankenstein right here. Frankenstein's monster. This is what you've made me. And again, the best version of Deadpool. This you know.
And this right here is the one moment of the film that requires a little bit of suspension of disbelief, because to this day, one day I'm going to try this, put a match in my mouth and try to catch it, because I swear this moment, what a flick. This is perfect.
Yes. No. This is it's oh yeah. Oh man, I see I it's just you know that we've already established that he's a mercenary, a soldier, he's quite capable. So you know that he's got the stuff to pull all this off, but this blowing himself up is insane. And what comes after this is such an intense. It's one of my favorite moments in the film when they
And he sees that the character who was next to him, right? He sees him on fire, he sees him suffering, and he has another moment of humanity.
yeah this this I remember Tim. I was not around for this, but Tim was telling me how just physically taxing this was on these guys, and I think it doesn't even need to be said. You can see it going back to your show me, don't tell me. I
Freaking
mean,
arms, dude. Look at the dude is shredded.
yeah, no. They would both outshred each other. There you go.
Yep.
I mean, Ryan is completely naked at some point in this, and I mean, actually covered in layers of scarred makeup to boot. So brutal. The thing, Tim Miller values fisticuffs. Tim Miller really values fisticuffs. Really brutal. He works with the same stunt coordinator on all his work. Look at that. Oh my gosh, stunning.
So
Stunning
did
physique.
Ryan go to set this day and have to like address everybody and say like, well, you're gonna see some stuff because he's gonna be completely naked for this whole scene?
You know what's funny about what you're mentioning here on both movies? These kind of days, these guys are walking around with, you know, in a Tupperware cup, just the barest maybe protein shake that they can take a couple sips from because they want to be so jacked, right? And so the diet is dialed down to the nth degree on a shot like this so that they can look as ripped as they possibly can. They hit the weights and there's, I mean, they're basically in kind of a self-starvation mode to be this ripped at this point. I know you're aware of that, but maybe not all the fans.
I remember I was on the Avengers Infinity War set, and I saw Chris Evans. They have a golf cart that takes him from his trailer to the set, and on his golf cart they had some dumbbells that if you wanted to get a pump before the camera starts rolling, I imagine a lot of people do that.
Again, both Ryan and Josh Brolin on Deadpool 2, they would have their little mini shakes, and they were limited to how much they would drink throughout the day based on how they wanted to be portrayed because they are in their maximum ripped. But I don't think we're talking about how awesome this impaling. Forgive me, I keep ranting, but this is a horrific image. It's fantastic and horrific at the same time. Amazing.
That is basically rock bottom for him, right? That's his rock bottom of the movie, I'd say.
Yeah, that's baseline.
Doesn't he say in this scene or something, rock me bottom or something?
Yeah, I mean, this is the baseline for the character. Below the baseline, as low as he's going to go, he's made it out on the other side, and we're about to fast track into, I mean, our third act, because the second act, really, obviously, that we've just been in is his transformation, and just amazing. Rising out of this soot. Again, I just cannot underscore the physical lengths Ryan went to pull this off. It is when you examine it up close. Maybe Hugh Jackman has done something equal physically in a movie, but as far as comic book superhero films, this is an insane amount of physical just sacrifice. Great image. I mean, again,
Hugh reached that point where, I mean, it's so intense. That's why he had to walk away from the role, because the demand of that.
yeah.
I mean, as you get older, I can only imagine how difficult that gets on your body to maintain it for as long as the production calls for. It's got to be just, it's a full time. So the workout alone is a full time job.
So you can really see the length of Bill Corso's work here. They had a bunch of mannequin. Well, they had done a bunch of casts, obviously, of Ryan's face, and had done different levels. And I'm going to tell you, the studio was very concerned about even portraying Ryan this kind of, let's say, ugly. They had tried to dial it down and scale it back as much as possible. And what you're seeing, honestly, is a compromise from Tim Miller, Ryan Reynolds, and the studio. They certainly did not want him going any uglier than this, but this is great seeing how people react to his, physical appearance. But I'm telling you, this was a source of numerous attempts to find how they would portray. I mean, I think there some stuff that's made it to online is great image, ghostly image, him seeing himself. At one point, they had eyebrows on him, and Tim really did not want. In one of the tests, they had eyebrows, and they finally Fox signed off on, again, no eyebrows. This very hideous version of himself, which now we get, T.J. Miller. We get to the great avocado crack. Here we go.
Like Krueger. I remember we saw this at San Diego Comic-Con as well, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, this is. But again, it's just my mind always takes me back to all of the different. Every movie, every portrayal that you see, there is a struggle between filmmaker and studio, because obviously they're making the investment, and the filmmaker has to convince them that follow my vision on this. And so I'm really pleased. I'll hold this up for the camera. My action figure. This now, Brandon. This action figure. This portrayal of Mr. Poole came out in 1995. They did a version without the mask. People always ask me, what's it like with Deadpool being successful? I mean, you mean being a toy in every Walmart, Target, KB Toys, and Toys R Us in the mid-90s? This is his second one. He'd have many more to come prior to this movie, but to see that the movie honors, the look of our beautiful comic book action figure, the way he was determined. No eyebrows, complete pizza face. As I said earlier, Ryan can play this character into his 60s because he doesn't have to dye his hair. He doesn't have to keep, a full head of hair. The guy can show up and be Wade Wilson, pizza face, until he's 60, maybe 65.
So I've got to ask you that, man. Like, I mean, it's so cool to hear stories like that from you. You got that action figure, it started taking off in the 90s and everything. And I know how, your entire life you've been so devoted to comics, and you're really living your dream. I remember I watched an old YouTube video, or a YouTube video of Stan, when you were interviewed by Stan Lee, and you were so young in your career, and that was so cool to see, like, retroactively, having come to know you over the years and see your work and how it's evolved and how you've evolved. Like, what is it like? Because that you're still that person. You still have all that enthusiasm. Every time we do an interview, you're so enthusiastic. So I know that means a lot to you to have these successful moments. But that right there, like moments like seeing your action figure on shelves and have it sold, and see your characters get the responses they have. I mean, what is it like over the years to have that response?
It really is a dream come true. I am living a dream. I have a spinner rack. I think it's in the view right here. I bought comics at the liquor store, the 7-Eleven, all the markets. Now, but I don't want to. It is a dream come true, and it is a dream come true to watch the evolution. Again, we didn't do this in the comics. Let's give this its due. This is Ryan and the writers getting to the red and black costume. He's going out to cover himself, right? And he's getting bloody, so it's showing through the sweatshirt, and the evolution of why. Brandon, I put red and black because they looked the best on paper. Red and black was a great color scheme. Spider-Man was red.
Color scheme.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
but the fact that they put a story behind it and
Yeah.
and brought it to life the way they did. Oh, this is just magnificent. Look, it never gets old. This montage. I can watch this on endless loop. This montage of him taking out the underworld, all the gangsters. Oh, the Zamboni.
You're gonna get killed by a Zamboni.
Oh my gosh, they had such a good time with this. But isn't he sitting on a pile of cocaine coming up here? Um,
Yeah, I think so. And he gets the guys as they're walking out.
oh, this just taking that. I mean, look, the toilet paper on the shoe as he left. Look at this guy. Look at him slamming. Oh, the
This
brutality.
Is the worst time to be wasting toilet paper.
Yes.
This is the worst time to be wasting.
You know what?
Yes.
Let's be reminded of that in this quarantine times. Absolutely, good call. Yeah, this is just this entire montage is another amazing centerpiece. Why this movie is so iconic. The search for Francis, but no, Brandon, it's an absolute thrill at every level. After the action figures came the video games, and about a decade of video games. He was in Ultimate Alliance. He was in Spider-Man Dimensions. He was in. Oh, here it is. Here it is. There it is. This is such full circle back with Agent Smith, and again, sometimes what you don't show, is worse than what you are being shown, and that's what I love about this scene. We see through the spectator, the onlooker on the street, the look on their face, what he does to Agent Smith instead of actually seeing. We just see their horrific.
This goes back to like old Hitchcock stuff where you would imagine what's going on, and sometimes your imagination makes it worse than actually seeing it.
Yes, I mean, again, just great artistic. There's a lot of art. This is a very artsy. It's like I love that. Turn away and look at her. Yeah. Look at her. Oh, this movie has so many artistic elements. It's so well done. And then here we go with Mr. Dopinder. So I just, again, another magic kind of combination. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We do the rewind.
I love that.
Hey, how many comic book movies have masturbation in them? I mean, honestly, is this it? Is this the one?
Not enough, Rob.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you.
I know in these quarantine times, I keep reading. Everyone likes to pass it along how healthy masturbation is for the blood count. So let's just keep that out there while we're kind of dancing with the quarantine theme.
Stay by yourself. That's the. And everybody, if you were just joining, by the way, we're just over an hour into Deadpool with creator Rob Liefeld on this quarantine watch party. We started at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so if you're trying to line up with us, you can start 10:05 p.m. Eastern time. We will be an hour and 5 minutes into the movie. There's a timer on the bottom of your screen, so you can use that to join us. Deadpool just got all caught up, and he's about to go into Blind Al's house here. So we're having fun with it, and Rob has shared all kinds of awesome intel. A lot of stuff that we don't usually get to talk about because our interviews are much briefer and a lot more focused on other things. So it's really fun to dive in and hear so many behind-the-scenes details while we go through this whole movie. And we just saw a fourth wall break inside of a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls, right?
How many moments does this have, right? I mean, it's got from all the one-liners. I mean, I know that this movie is, I've heard it. I've been around the world. I've seen how adored this movie is from all the different fans who have seen it. But, it's just, there's just so many gags, so much brutality. I mean, come on. How great is this? And let me tell you something. Leslie Uggams is the most delightful. She loves playing Blind Al. It is, this is this classically trained actress. And then she performs this, gives this tremendous performance here, this tremendous comedic performance. But so here we go, baby hand. And what we talked earlier about Ryan completely committing to showing how the regeneration process, it's not just an immediate sealing of a wound, a healing of a cut. It's the cost, and consequence of him slicing his hand on. slicing his hand off to get away from Colossus, and now which gives us this amazing comic gold. We're about to experience comic gold here, right? And Blind Al putting together the IKEA. I mean, this is just in test audiences that got the biggest react. People howled over this stuff. They knew, like, if there was one scene they were not going to edit and not going to chop up, it was this scene, because the reaction was exactly everything they had intended.
And I mean, I feel like a moment like that, it's easy to get it wrong. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And possibly get a bad reaction. And the tone of the movie and everything that this does. I mean, I remember I saw the movie in theaters at least 2 times, possibly 3, and every time. I mean, it lands every time. It's hilarious.
And here we go with the unicorn and the moisturizing lotion to get that extra lube. So Ed, as you know, is not really riding that. That motorcycle is not on. It's just rolling, and he gets off. Just that Ed didn't ride a motorcycle in that scene. They just pushed it, got out of the way. He rolls it, gets off, and walks into here. That's a little. That's some real life intel on movie making 101. So
why is that?
He wasn't comfortable with doing it, and they didn't really need him to. And again, it's just movie magic. That motorcycle is not on; it's just rolling. And if you go back and really examine what I just told you, you only see it for 3 seconds. It's they just needed that for that moment, and in and out. Ed didn't have to command a motorcycle. He's just rolling on it, gets off, walks in. He and Gina are getting ready for their final battle, and now we're back, and Baby Hand is making some progress, right? But I just, Leslie, she's in this movie so briefly, right? Oh, hilarious. Hilarious.
I've had the pleasure of meeting Leslie Uggams, and she is a delight. I met her at the Deadpool 2 premiere.
Yeah.
And she was the sweetest, and just such a sweet interview.
At one of so I was telling her on set how much people were going to love her in this role, and she said to me, she said, and I don't think we've, the one thing, this in the comic book, she was not and she's not African American, so by going, I thought it was a great choice. Obviously, they would do it again with Domino, but we can't, imagine if some of these choices hadn't been made, we'd have this lily white cast. And going with Leslie Uggams, who had to be convinced to do this, by the way, but I told her everyone was going to love her, and she said to me, she said, "Do you think so? Because this is so like racy. I had to be talked into this." So it's just so funny that it came, like you said, she's such a sweet lady. Imagine that some of this was hard for her to say and do. She felt it was a very racy role, and she was concerned about how she'd be received in it. And obviously, it came out great for her. Back in our bar,
all the cast. Oh, we have our Blade Trinity dig here.
Yeah. Oh, so great, so great. I love Gina's hair. Back in this amazing bar that they shot in for weeks. Again, when they left Sister Margaret's, it went back to being the seedy bar that it is. That is exactly how this bar looks when they're not shooting in it. They just push some tables and stuff aside, obviously, to make room for it. But love this. And there we go.
Well, they found him. I feel like Gina could really pick him up like that.
Brandon, you're a big guy. You're a very big guy. People know you as a big strapping man. Yes. So you recognize how strong and powerful Gina is. She is, just a testament to she's just a badass human being, period. But the fact that she's, as accomplished as she's been, I mean, from an athlete to all these roles, like I said, Deadpool, Fast 5 or Fast 6, whichever one she was in, Mandalorian, she is definitely, there's an ingredient that she supplies that people love. This is great because now we're seeing this more manic side of Wade, in that, everything is closing in around him. He's kind of been dictating the terms. And here we go to the biggest cameo of all time.
Yes, that one of the best areas, Stanley, and he wasn't actually there, right? They edited this together with him
Correct.
from a different location.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. He was. They shot him in isolation and then blended it into the strip club. But so let's keep going here. One more trope that was defined, or a trope you're not going to find anywhere else because it's not a trope. How many comic book superheroes have walked through the strip club? Okay. Uh, I mean, this is just again, like we said, it earns its R rating. It lives in a much more mature world. And I got to be honest, man, I saw people react to this. I saw people at that point. Let's say, Brandon, we had 10 Marvel Universe films. Okay, we had, whether you count the X-Men or not, we'd had two Captain Americas. We'd had two or three Iron Mans. We had the Avengers. We had two Thors, and then Deadpool happens. And it was I really believe it needed to have this element for it to put it over the top, to make it a different flavor that people would go, wow, this isn't more of the same. Oh, this moment is just so brilliant how they
Yeah.
almost make eye contact. And again, we feel the
With
longing.
those
It's
differences, with R-rated differences, it just taps into a whole different audience. You don't, comic book fans love it because this is Deadpool. It's almost edgier and even darker than some of the comics we've seen.
yes.
But it's like this is a character that superhero comic book or not, that it could be in the movies and the mainstream audience is going to respond to it because it's different, because it's kind of just a culmination of so many things that were working, I think, and then it takes from what works and then puts its own spin on so many things, and then puts it in the superhero genre, which has such a built-in gigantic fan base, and uses it all to its advantage.
And I just look, watching this with you right now. Look, let's just be honest and just establish 100%. Uh, if Fox does not make Deadpool, you never get access to this world because Fox made it. Because Fox took, after many years, finally decided to pull the trigger, roll the dice, make it a hard R-rated version. We have all these. I hate to say this, Feige is not bringing you a movie in the strip club. He's just not. That's not in the wheelhouse that they have designed. But we're fortunate that Ryan got here with Tim, with the boys, Rhett, Paul, everybody, and gave us this world, unlocked access to this world. We've already talked how it directly gave us Logan. And I
I mean,
hope.
yeah, it makes me wonder because we had seen R-rated comic book films before this in the form of Kick-Ass and Sin City, but they weren't the blockbuster level of success that this was. Love or hate those movies. And then from here we spawn a sequel, we spawn Logan, and then Joker comes along too. So
Yes.
it's really curious to think how much credit goes to this, because would we have even gotten Joker with an R rating if this hadn't come along first? Maybe, but you don't know.
Not likely. But I mean, look, there were points in the okay. I mean, bottom line, this R rating is intense. I know that this is the day I got there. This is the day I got to set, and this really took a pint out of Ryan. This is him unloading in the. I mean, this is emotional for him. This, imagine doing 8 takes of this. This is hugely emotional. This outpouring. I just remember Tim. So this is early on. This is probably the first 10 days of filming, because they film everything out of order. This shot is in the first 10 days of the shoot. And I know that everybody um, believed, like, oh my gosh, we have something special here just based on this right here, this shot, how fast movies work nowadays. Tim showed me this all edited together as I showed up to shoot my bar room, my scene in the bar the next day. Tim had already had this overnight. He would send the footage to Blur Studio. Love the Hugh Jackman right there. He would send it to Blur Studio, and overnight, his editor in Los Angeles at Blur would edit together everything they shot. And he said, "Hey, you want to see how great yesterday turned out?" And that's when this shot with him and the guns all in the bag, which obviously he'd later forget, but it's a great, again, the budget didn't count for something this big, but it was a great nod to what they would want to do, and they knew this. Gathering all the guns and all the weapons. But I just, it was amazing watching them shoot this and then edit it overnight into this amazing sequence. And I'm telling you, Brandon, they knew they were onto something. I want to tell you a funny story. So hyperactive Liefeld, even though I'm in my late 40s when I'm on set here, just so excited watching this. I keep telling everybody, this movie's going to open to $60-70 million. It's going to open to $60-70 million. I was like, it's going to do so well. We're going to make it all back. At one point, one of the writers turned to me and they said, "Would you shut up, Liefeld? Would you? You're jinxing the production. We don't talk about what we're going to make." So I thought that was funny, given that it opened to $130 million, right? I mean, it turned out I was way off. But at that time, I was seen as very optimistic. I was overly optimistic. Now, I know you want to talk about how much this resembles a helicarrier, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, well, what is, I'm an MCU guy? What the heck? How'd you know that?
I mean, everybody thought Tim won't. I think Tim will tell you he didn't intend to, but I also think that's a wink, wink, nod, nod. Of course, that looks like a helicarrier. I think that's 100% intended.
But then, I know the MCU tends to, the continuity of it always looks like it's so planned and perfect, but I think there are some little coincidences where there's a little thing there, they can go back and nod to it and tie it into this thing from the future. I mean, just like tying lines from Iron Man 2 into Project Pegasus or whatever for Captain Marvel and the first Avengers, just the way they do that. Like, I don't think those plans are necessarily in place all along. So, that said, I would like to see this come full circle.
Sure.
If they do a multiverse, if they do pull them in some way, since it's laid out there, if they want to say it was intentional or not at this point, take advantage of that. Say it was a helicarrier in that universe or whatever. Why not?
A repurposed old model. I agree. This commentary on the X-Men and the budgets, again, another moment that went over huge early on. Everybody, what great commentary. This brief scene kind of sums up fans' views of the X-Men films for a decade right there. Boom.
I would love to be a fly on the wall for the Fox executives when they heard those jabs, because they're perfect little ribbing that nobody's actually gonna get mad at the studio for. But I wonder, on a studio level, what is your reaction to your own film taking shots at you, just in fun ways, but still.
But as you know, as I spoke of early, Tom Rothman, who was there through Wolverine Origins, had made 4 or 5 of the X-Men films, was gone now. So the people in charge were in different positions, and I think were enjoying taking the piss out of maybe the budgetary restraint of the previous regime. So I mean, I do think there was maybe a few sharp elbows thrown in there on purpose. But again, the fact that
also, give a shout out, I think, to the publicity team and the marketing team who worked on this movie, because they did such a good job marketing this movie, publicizing this movie. They were so clever, they were witty, they were creative. I don't know if Ryan Reynolds plays a hand in that, but whoever was in charge of that, all of them, top to bottom, they did they won awards for it. The publicity team for this movie won awards.
Yes.
For that job.
I can answer that right now. I can answer and tell you 100% that Ryan was 100% involved in every step of the way. They fed off each other. Obviously, Brian. I mean, this is twice I have, in my excitement, called him Brian. Yes, Brian Reynolds. No, Ryan Reynolds. You can see with his aviation gin, his genius with marketing.
Oh, yeah.
He really
look at what they did with the Peloton girl.
That's it. Ryan was instrumental both campaigns, but the guys on the marketing team deserve all the accolades that they received too, because it took a team. Here you go. Here's your helicarrier. There you go. Okay, and now we've got the rap music is pumping up. Going, give it to you. So great. This slow walk. Now this is like a superhero trope. Look, the Avengers show up in a Quinjet, and Deadpool exits a taxi cab, and they do a slow dramatic walk, and he forgot all his weapons. Oh, so great.
Dopender comes into a garbage truck.
And we see a little slightly darker side of Dopender now, because there's a body in that trunk, right? So we're setting up for our big finale. we've got our guys all together, and I'm telling you, this was really exciting because oh, look at this, look at this.
I love the animation of the eyes. That, like,
Yeah,
just things like that, they mean so much to the comic book fans.
they do.
Like, that stuff, it seems so minuscule, but it's so rewarding for the comic book fans.
And at this point, the Spider-Man movies hadn't even done that. They hadn't done that level of, you know, the way they would use the green
Yeah,
screen
I think
and pin the eyes.
the first Spider-Man to do it was Tom Holland, and he debuted in Civil War, which came out 3 months after this movie.
Yes, yes. So no, superhero landing, Gina Carano, everybody. So yeah, no, this is again. So now we're gonna get our first big superhero level brawl with Angel Dust and Colossus, and he's not expecting this punch, and neither are we.
Oh,
I mean, I just love how thick Colossus is in this movie, the weight that he has. And again, if I can, Tim Miller, the reason he got I mean, are you going to make a tweet out of it? So timely, still today, this whole Twitter reference. But Tim Miller's Blur Studios did all the visual effects here. Tim had done special effects video games for years, obviously stepped up to the plate, knocked it out of the park as a director on this. But his crew, and I've been in that facility with 60, 70 digital artists all making this happen. Colossus is a result of their amazing, talent, expertise, and them executing this. I mean, Colossus really is. He does not get the acclaim from this role, even though he is well liked. He is so important to making this movie sing. This is a great fight.
So nice to see this character get proper screen time, though. Like I told you, I loved the animated series and the early, like those first live action X-Men movies. We just never got enough of him, and I still would like more. Like I want to see him with more X-Men characters. I want to see his dynamic with more characters.
Yeah.
Like I love Colossus, and I want to see him transform. I want to see him make a transformation.
Okay, that's a great moment where he pulls out his underwear to wave the flag. Just amazing. So again, not a third act that you'd see in any other movie to date. Guy tears his underpants off to wave the flag. Just Rhett, Paul, and Ryan together they can finish each other's sentences. You've seen them on the circuit, on the junkets. They are so witty and talented, and I mean, the jokes are never better. The humor is never better with them. But then now we've segued into this amazing action sequence. I mean, come on, Brandon, does it get better than beheading some guy and then kicking his head
like a soccer ball?
So great. Yeah, so we've got some great traditional superheroes. Oh.
Yeah, that would take it out of you. You could throw a stunt guy in that suit and then Ryan's voice into it. It's seamless. This fight, I want to know how Gina was on set fight. Like, did they have somebody with a backpack on in Colossus's face? Did they have anybody for her to like shadow bot? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, no, the real the physical stand-in he was a giant. He was very 6'7". No, he is the one she's interacting with in all of these, and he's got the suit on. He looks like the Michelin Man. He looks like a real life Michelin Man with all his thick padded suit and his green dots for tracking and doing the mapping later on. Then here, great moment, former bounty hunters, they're mercenaries meeting each other. So great.
Yeah. Knocks him out anyway.
Yeah, no love lost between thieves. And okay, did not see this coming. I mean, obviously in the script that he's going to spell out names with them. But yeah, so I mean, again, amazing Colossus. What kind of hero pauses, because he's being a gentleman?
Only Colossus.
Yeah. So I know we've raved again and again. Every time I see Colossus, it just blows me away. He is so great looking. And there you go, Francis.
I'll let for yeah. Yeah, that's great.
This again, all of this was shot in Vancouver, all these different locations. They didn't leave Vancouver when they were shooting this, and I think it was probably a 60-day, shoot. But great use of the powers here. Great. Tim is a huge X-Men fan. He gets obviously he gave Negasonic kind of Cannonball's powers because he didn't have access to Cannonball, but this is a great method to get Deadpool up there. And
Crush.
Yeah, this is just fantastic.
You love to see some good teamwork and clever use of the power. So
no, that's why we show up for these movies. We want to see our superheroes do super stuff. And like I said, I just cannot tell you how great this leather suit. When most people don't know, the black eyelets pop out and the whole suit opens up in between takes, and they have fans that they blow Ryan off with to cool him down. He stinks so bad. You've seen that. That is really thick netted leather. Looks so good for a reason. But I think Morena even made jokes about how much Ryan smelled. I mean, imagine he's like a big shoe. And when you take your shoe off and your sock reeks, he smelled so bad. But again,
really
yeah, the theme of this I have said about his physicality again and again and again. Just the sacrifice, because maybe another actor doesn't put the suit on and do the stunts, but Ryan did. He is in that costume. That's him facing off with Ed, and again, you said it earlier. Ed got in tip top shape for this as well. This is a great fight. I love the two axes against the two katanas. This is my wheelhouse. I love weapons. Weapons is where I live.
Look at the choreography there.
Yeah, that's
the Star Wars Episode 3.
So Philip Rivera is the stunt coordinator. He did the hallway scene that you love so much, both hallway battles. He was season 1 and 2 of Daredevil on Netflix. And then Phil did Daredevil season 1, then did Deadpool, did Daredevil season 2. And what your viewers may not know is he is the action choreographer and stunt guy on Jupiter's Legacy, the Mark Miller show coming up on Netflix. So he did Terminator with Tim as well. He's one of the best stunt guys in the business, given the resume I just shared with you. He's in high demand, and that choreography and these fights are a result of his, amazing combat techniques, fighting. He's amazing, and that's why these fights are as great as, because they had to get them right. They didn't have the budget, to do much more than great stunt choreography. So that's what you got. Great fight choreography.
Oh, yeah, I think, cool. And I don't know if Tim gets the credit he deserved for some of the work he did on Terminator Dark Fate. I thought that movie was pretty damn good. Me
too. Dark Fate, just things have a time, and the time for Terminator is it's not now. It's a good movie. I love it. I love all the names I mentioned. Bill Corso, makeup, Bill Rivera, cinematographer, everybody that did Deadpool did Dark Fate. There was great craft on both of them. Deadpool I think there'd been pent up demand for this character, and then look at the insanity. This movie is insane. Once again,
for Deadpool reached a peak right at the right time.
And so now we have cartoon animals. We have him hallucinating. We have animation. He has a knife in his head, Brandon. Repeat. He has a knife in his head. Okay? That's not you don't get that from Wolverine. You don't get that from Captain America. You don't get that from Ant-Man. And he's telling her how much he loves her, how much he wants to get her back. Just so great.
Is that what you're telling her with that? Is that what that hand gesture means?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I can't believe with an R-rated movie I'm giving PG commentary, but okay, there you go. This is the sound when he pulls this out. The sound is terrific. Look at that shot. Look at that low angle. These are great comic book crops, shots. Tim is a great storyteller. He is just he picked some of the greatest shots. The great comic books that I grew up with have shots like that, memorable shots that you remember to this day. Shots from the X-Men, Dark Knight. Tim picks similar great shots all throughout this movie. So again, the action choreography really kind of brought this thing home. I mean, they really leaned heavily on physical, practical stunts, and the action choreography was key to all of it. And so now we've got, you know, Deadpool doing everything he can to save Vanessa. And like I said, the great thing is she's proved to be so formidable. She got herself out of the sarcophagus. She's sassy, defiant, but she finds herself in kind of a bit of a pickle here that Deadpool has to make this final sacrifice, dangling off our non-heli carrier.
Yeah, and this relationship, I mean, we've said it, I think, 3 times now. And of course, Colossus saving everybody, being the hero. He's even saving the villain here.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I wanted to note that this all of this that you're seeing, aside from Ryan, this is all of these giant cargo units. This giant construction is all CGI. This is all Blur Studios. This is all guys executing at Blur on their computer screens. Brilliant CGI. We don't give the good stuff as much of a nod as we should because we've come to expect it. But this was Blur's first full length movie. And the fact that they executed at the level they did and delivered this high quality of work is amazing. It really made Tim's value is his studio reflects him, how serious he takes the work, and that's why this looks as great as it does. And we're
You can
about
tell
to.
from Tim because if you've ever like, I know most people watching haven't met Tim Miller. If you've ever met him or you've even seen him in interviews or on a panel at Comic-Con, like, I don't know. I can't. There aren't really too many directors who come to mind that get quite as excited and enthused as Tim does when he talks about his projects. I mean, it's with each movie I've seen him make that I've been able to like talk to him or see him talk about. Like he loves this stuff. So that I think
Yeah,
that's why that detail gets in there.
yeah, he's a hardcore. If you've been at Blur, they have a giant bookcase that is all comic books. I mean, it goes floor to ceiling, and it's Tim's passion. He's a comic book guy. It's legit. That's why. Look, the guy called me and introduced himself to me in
So
2010 because he was such a comic book fan. And said, "Rob, I want to introduce myself. I want you to be involved." And look, Brandon, that was so not necessary. And I'm like, what I'm trying to say is, not a lot of directors would have reached out like that. So I benefited from Tim being a big comic book, you know, a fan from
yeah.
day one. He grew up with reading my stuff, um, and obviously he delivered with this amazing work. And every time I see that is just an amazing costume. Think of all the costumes that you've seen that didn't work. The ones that do work are a result of a ton of just actual costume designers, digital artists who are creating this look and then seeing if they can sew it together. I mean, there was a lot of different versions of this. The fact that they landed on this, and here we go. This is brutal, and provides one of the great speeches in all of comic book history, right?
Here comes Colossus. There he is.
Um, Stefan's dialogue here and it is so great. Oh, one moment. Oh, it's so good.
Takes
It's so
one
good.
moment.
So again, I
A
mean,
hero.
yeah, and this, I mean, this is heavy. This is you really feel Colossus is pouring himself into this. Just he is doing his best to reach Wade Wilson and get him to turn the corner. It's so, you're caught up in this. You think, oh, is he making the connection? Is he making the connection?
And bang. Nope. I love that Colossus throws up.
Yes. Once again, think about that. There, absolutely shoots the bad guy in the head, and Colossus throws up.
Yeah.
This
That's
movie went
that
places
another
nobody.
superhero film.
This movie went places nobody had ever been before. It just so amazing. Uh, oh, this is just great. I love this,
And of course, we
Ryan's
come full
delivery.
circle in a
Yeah,
moment, on the way a moment from earlier.
yes, and
And a good, for the kids, a nice pull-out joke.
there you go.
Bang.
Not a movie that is wanting for sex jokes. This is great. This again, nobody saw this coming. She's so pissed off. Morena is so great here. Vanessa is, I mean, this is we finally have our two lovers back together. She's so pissed off that he didn't give her the shot, uh, and believe in her, and some great one-liners coming up, right?
The Hugh
Uh,
Jackman mask, of course. That's under the mask.
and kids, believe you me, in the original script, once again, that made it. That was in the 2010 script. You got to realize, for those of you guys who don't, um, Hugh Jackman was a producer on Wolverine Origins, so he absolutely had a say in casting Ryan as Wade Wilson Deadpool. So if you're ever wondering, obviously Ryan feels a great deal of just respect and gratitude because Hugh gave him this role, took this flyer on him, signed off on him being in Wolverine Origins, which for all its flaws gets us to this point right here. And so
Right.
their friendship goes back, many, many, many years, and it's great to see how it plays out now online with all the competitive back and forth that they do. But
Yeah.
uh, uh, um, um,
And we see this mask here, and it like gives it, obviously, you know, the dream for so many of us is to see Ryan and Hugh play Deadpool and Wolverine together. I don't think that could ever happen. I don't know, Secret Wars or something could bring them back, but uh, had the studio moved forward with this movie earlier, we might have seen that. It's
yes,
almost like, it's awesome that we got it. It's almost a shame that we'll never see that, because the two of them together as this Deadpool and Wolverine together would have been something really, really special.
um, Brandon. So I told you earlier I don't like to speculate on things that can't possibly be, but and here we go. Look, the one liner about "that's a face I could sit on" is maybe my favorite line ever in the film. But
I,
but
that's one of
I
the hardest laughs I've had in a theater in a long time.
um I mean, again, you see the love. She doesn't care that he's a scarred, Freddy Krueger. She loves this guy. But what I want to say about Hugh Jackman, I'm stubborn enough to believe that as the years go by, as we get more distance, that maybe in 10 years that we'll see. I have not, even though I have been told by Hugh and by Ryan that he's moving on to my face. Minds change, time passes, things change. I am still holding out on the fact that there is still that opportunity that they will share the screen at some point. Now that Ryan has found the Deadpool we all intended him to be. So
Listen, if
I
we ever get
that,
that Secret Wars where everything comes, I don't know, you get all these Hugh Jackman. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony. Like, there's so many iconic actors from the past 20 years
yeah.
that we just think the timing didn't end up being right. But I think the pairing of Hugh and Ryan is the top of that list. Well, it's
Yeah.
definitely towards the top.
And you know what I can't believe? I wouldn't be surprised. I just can't believe somebody hasn't thrown a project for them together outside of Wolverine and Deadpool. Every day I keep waiting that they're going to sign up for a movie where they don't have to be superheroes, but they're just Hugh and Ryan. I mean, I know that I've completely segued, but this is a great kiss. We've got our Wham music.
Bam.
Honestly,
Bam.
this could not have ended on a better note. This is our full delivery of Wham and Ryan's commitment to this song and this music and this soundtrack, and we get this wonderful. I mean, we end in this passionate kiss. I mean, Brandon, I get caught up in it every time. This is a great
So
moment.
good. Well, that's
Um,
that. Yeah. Well, this movie is damn near masterpiece, if not a masterpiece.
yeah,
I'm glad it exists, and I'm really happy we got to. Dude, I gotta say, it is so cool to talk with you through this movie, because I know you know this character and this movie better than almost anybody else. So to be able to have you on our quarantine watch party and talk through it as the fate screen turns to black, I mean, it's so cool, man. Thank you.
Brandon, thanks for having me, buddy. Hopefully this we can do this again real soon. But this was a ton of fun, man. Thank you so much.
I think we can let the fans decide because there is a Deadpool 2 out there, and we're going to be home for a while. So who knows?
Hey, if you want to watch Deadpool 2 with me, you just call me up, buddy. I'll be here. It's not like I have someplace to be. Okay. All right. So I'll be waiting on that call. I'll be waiting on that call.
I appreciate it. I hope we end up getting to link up at San Diego Comic Con. I hope everything is cleared up by then.
Yeah, me
San
too.
Diego Comic Con is one of my favorite. It is my favorite event of the year. It's
Hey,
very stressful for me. I'm running around like crazy,
hey,
but
you
it's
you
super
do a great
fun.
job. I see you. I see you hustling. And look, to everybody at Comicbook.com, this was such a great opportunity. When you guys called me and asked me about it, I did not hesitate. This is so great, and I just thanks for everybody at Comicbook.com for letting this come together. Very exciting. Call me soon, Brandon. Let's do Deadpool
Well, I
2.
appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. Our team's we're working from home, but we're working hard. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Huge thanks to everybody who watched our quarantine watch party of Deadpool. Thank you for staying home. Thank you for hanging with us. We're still together, even though we're in quarantine. Let's keep having fun and keep having these parties. Join the conversation. Hashtag quarantine watch party on Twitter and Instagram. Let us know your favorite moment from tonight. Feel free to take the video and share it yourself, all that kind of stuff. And stay tuned to comicbook.com for more. I'm BD. I'll see you there. Thank you so much, Mr. Rob Liefeld.
Hey, thank you.